Hey, what's good everybody out there? It's Jakejames Lugo. So today I got a little cleaned up and spoofed up for the occasion for two main reasons. The first one being is that this is going to be the first ever video review that's highly edited and a much more higher quality than what I'm used to bringing you guys here on YouTube. It's something I've wanted to do for quite some time, and I'm really hoping that all of you guys will take a liking to it. Though the other second reason that I really want to kind of get cleaned up for the occasion and really look good is because of the series that we're talking about on this video review. We're discussing the Yakuza series. Now, the Yakuza series is something I have a long history with. I played a variety of the different games on the PS2, the PS3, and the PS4, and written reviews for them in various different outlets and websites, and discussed them on podcasts. Luckily for me, I was able to get an early copy of Yakuza 6, The Song of Life from Sega and Atlas, so big shout outs to them that I'm able to bring this video review to you guys here on YouTube, as well as also a written review over on the Coalition website. There'll be links in the description box below. So with that being said though, let's dive right into things. Let's kind of get your button-down shirts ready, get your two-piece suits ready, slick your hair back, and let's get ready to kick some ass in Japan. This is Yakuza 6, The Song of Life.
Yakuza 6 is the latest entry into the Yakuza series from Sega and Atlas. It takes place a little bit after the previous game Yakuza 5, which has a whole bunch of stuff that goes down in Kamurocho, Japan, involving Kiryu Kazama, as well as also the criminal underworlds and the Yakuza clans that are scattered throughout the city. A whole bunch of things have happened, and Kiryu has gone through a lot, and you get to see a lot of other characters that appeared throughout the Yakuza series in this storyline. Now, while it's not as crazy as the previous games, it's not as over the top, it is a little bit more grounded in reality. It still has its fun, cheeky humor, it still has its fun twists and turns, its backstabbings, and also kind of deep and shadowy details about the criminal underworld that goes on in Japan. One of the things that you guys are going to notice, and I noticed very quickly, was that the game looks very pretty. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life is a very pretty game overall. It has a lot of detail in its city, its skylights, and its lighting. It has a whole bunch of stuff going for it that's visual eye candy. All the characters look super realistic. You would think that they're actually real people, even though I'm pretty sure some of them aren't, but they still look pretty awesome to look at. Also, on top of that, which I found really interesting, is that there's more individuals that you find running and walking the streets of Kamurocho than you did in previous games. If you want to talk about a city that feels like it's bustling, feels like it's alive, feels like that it never sleeps, Yakuza 6 really takes a whole new par for the course of the series. It's pretty interesting to see all this different stuff go down, and you always feel like you're always missing something in another part of the city. Another thing I should mention also is that the side stories that you can kind of spin off with outside of the main plot are pretty interesting and yet still goofy at the same time. It's not necessarily something that is really going to hold your attention for very long. Some of the side stories are pretty stupid and they could get a little bit tongue-in-cheek and even feel like a waste of time. But they are there for you to kind of mess around with, and you are rewarded for actually engaging with them. You run into all types of crazy characters, from someone that believes that they're traveling through time, to a whole bunch of drunks, to a whole bunch of other people that are trying to scam Kiryu from one thing or another. It's pretty crazy what goes on in Kamurocho, and the people that live there are even crazier.
Now, I won't dive into spoilers or anything of the sort. I don't want to spoil anything too big for you guys, as well as also I have to follow the embargo details, unfortunately. But one of the big things that I love about this story in particular is that it challenges a lot of the preconceived notions about previous Yakuza games while still kind of giving you guys an engaging and interesting and overall crazy storyline that really kind of holds your attention all the way through to the end. One of the unfortunate things, however, is that in this storyline for Yakuza 6 compared to the previous game and other Yakuza games, is that it's not as over the top as before. It still has that fun personality, it still has that fun, goofy humor here and there, especially in the side missions and other side stories not related to the main plot, but you're not going to have any crazy moments like punching a tiger or doing crazy tricks on the highway when you're trying to evade gangs and stuff. There's none of that goes on right here. There is still some ridiculous notions that happen, but it's not anything too crazy or over the top. Now, one of the things that I love about the Yakuza games is the combat and its gameplay. Everybody gets so hung up on the sides, side mini games and all these other extra side stuff that you could do, but I actually like the combat of the Yakuza series. Even though in previous games it's felt a little bit more stiff and kind of restrictive in certain spots here and there.
So running around Kamurocho and engaging with all the different activities and mini-games that are part of the city is one thing, but don't think that you're just going to casually walk through these streets and not have something happen to you. These streets are rough. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going down in the worlds of Yakuza, and every once in a while you're going to have to fight, you're going to have to beat somebody's ass. And let me tell you something, one of the things that I love about the Yakuza games is the fighting and the battles, because they get really over the top. However, in Yakuza 6, even though there's a whole bunch of brutal attacks, it's not as crazy and over the top as the previous games, which is a little bit of a bummer. I always loved like the crazy, ridiculous special moves that you could do to enemies that are not realistic whatsoever, but they are fun to look at and are fun to execute on your enemies. I mean, look at how crazy some of these badass special moves can be. They're brutal and they hurt as hell. Oh, it's time! You want some of this too? Okay, here, take this one. Yeah! Hey-ya, bitch! Oh, I'm whooping somebody's ass! So as you can tell, the battles get pretty damn nuts. But along with this fighting system is a leveling system that's made a lot more simpler than in previous Yakuza games. No longer are you using multiple fighting styles that you have to level up separately. You only have one main fighting style that's tied to your abilities in and out of battle. You gain more abilities and level up your stats by interacting with different objects and interacting with different food places that you can eat food and gain more abilities, as well as also completing battles, completing side quests, and completing parts of the main story to make Kiryu a little bit more powerful and open up a variety of special moves, abilities, and special perks for various different mini-games and other quests that you find throughout Kamurocho. Now, I can't lie and ignore the fact that it could be a little bit tedious in some spots when trying to level up Kiryu, as well as also progress in certain areas of Kamurocho when trying to complete parts of the main story. There are certain sections of the game where it can feel like you're going through a drought of money, as well as also resources to put towards your stats and abilities to give you an extra edge in certain parts of the story. It feels like in some spots you need to kind of go through random battles, or just constantly go to different food spots to eat a variety of different food to give you more of the same stat boost in order to get what you need, as well as also get into different battles with enemies or even play some of the inane mini-games to garner enough cash to kind of progress in certain spots of certain side quests, as well as also the main story. I do also have to mention that some of the boss fights are really tedious and at times can be a little bit unfair. This has been a problem with the Yakuza series for a long time now, where you feel like you have to abuse certain aspects of the fighting or even certain aspects of the AI's programming in order to get past certain spots. Luckily for me in Yakuza 6, I didn't really deal with this too much, but it is still there and it still is being remedied with each iteration of the franchise. However, though, it can be frustrating to some people, and one of my recommendations is that you're going to need to kind of go out and do a little bit of grinding in order to make sure that these types of sections and boss fights aren't really too much of a problem and hinder your progress throughout the main story.
Now let's discuss the mini games. Now obviously this is something that everybody gets caught up on, especially the different kind of, hostess mini games and all the other kind of like risque type of stuff that Yakuza is usually associated with, especially from Yakuza 5 onward.
Alright, so let's talk about some of these more risque mini-games that Yakuza always gets a bad rap for. There's always some sort of lounge or hostess or even a chat room mini-game that's involved with the Yakuza games that you'll find here and there running around Kamurocho, and in Yakuza 6, there are a couple that are there that you can interact with. They are optional and you don't necessarily need to do them or be interactive with them in order to complete the main story, but they are there for those that are curious. And the funny thing is that they range from more the flirtatious and the sensual all the way down to the downright creepy, which is pretty ridiculous if you ask me.
You still have a lot of the different mini games that you would think of, like darts, as well as also other little side games and Sega kind of legacy classic nods, which I think is pretty cool. But you also have the hostess mini games, and you have all the other kind of like, lounge type of stuff that everybody gets caught up on. One of the things that I found that was interesting about Yakuza 6 is that it doesn't really push the boundaries or go towards the edge as much compared to previous games. You still have that sexy kind of like, sensual and type of different, aura about it, related to the different chat line stuff, as well as the hostess bars that you could kind of interact with in those mini games. But yet it's still not as crazy as what a lot of people thought of, both in Yakuza 5 and I think also in Yakuza 0.
The mini-games are plentiful in Yakuza 6 The Song of Life, and much like all the previous Yakuza games, there's a lot to do in Kamurocho, a whole bunch of distractions and things to get lost in that are outside of the main story, and even some of the side quest options that you have throughout the city. One of the cool things about the Yakuza games is its knack to kind of implement different Sega fan service and Sega nods to classic iconic series throughout all of its games, specifically at the Club Sega arcades that you find in Kamurocho. In this one in particular for Yakuza 6, you could play a full version of Virtua Fighter 5 Final Round, as well as also the arcade version of Puyo Puyo. This is pretty cool because it's a neat little distraction and it does offer you some boosts for interacting with it, but don't expect to have any sort of like crazy extras that you would find in the full retail releases of these games, because after all, it still is only a game within a game. You do also have these other mini-games, including the batting cages, the weightlifting, the karaoke bar, as well as also a cat cafe to really get lost in outside of the main story, and other mini-games that don't necessarily involve all the Sega iconic classics. It's pretty cool to have this extra stuff, and you don't necessarily need to do them in order to complete the main story or complete the game as a whole, but they are still fun distractions that will really give a lot of entertainment as well as eye candy to those that really decide to engage with them.
Yakuza 6 is a fun game. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It still has its little flaws that have plagued the series in its entirety for a long time. However, it still has enough fun personality, it still has a lot of fun gameplay elements, and a lot of little distractions and extra stuff here and there to keep your attention for many hours on end. Do I think it's a Yakuza game that everybody should jump into as their first Yakuza game? Probably not. If I had a recommendation, I would say that the first Yakuza game that people should play would either be Yakuza 5, Yakuza 0, or Yakuza Kiwami, which is a remake of the first Yakuza game that was over on the PlayStation 2. I feel like if you don't really understand what the games and the series is really about, or really its little quirks here and there, those are really the games that you really want to kind of go to first to get a good overview and good understanding of everything as a whole. I feel like those games will really kind of ease you into playing some of the other games, and will definitely ease you into playing Yakuza 6, even though a lot of the different stuff about this game is a little bit more streamlined than ever before. With that being said though, that's my thoughts on Yakuza 6. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know what's up in the comment section below. Tell me if you guys really thought about like this style of video was any good. I'm thinking about doing this with some other games here and there in the nearby future, especially some more newer and more recent games that are coming out very, very soon at the time I'm making this video. But I won't say any more of that. Again, big shout outs to Sega and Atlas for allowing me to review the game a little bit early for you guys, and hopefully you guys gravitate towards this style of video.
Thanks a ton, everyone, for watching this video review. I really appreciate your guys' time and your support, and really big shout-outs to everybody that's been sticking with me on the channel for the longest time throughout all the changes and the different stuff I've been trying with it. It really means a lot to me. Again, if you guys want to support my stuff and really want to kind of, show me some love, make sure you guys hit that like button on this video, leave a comment down below in the comment section, and let me know what you guys think about these style of videos. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and show me some love on the channel. I'm right below 1,000 subscribers, and I'm really trying to break that limit. If you guys want to help me do so, hit that subscribe button and share the channel with everybody else. And if you want to see more videos from me, make sure you guys check out my previous vlog where I talked about gaming books that all gamers need to own. And don't forget to check out some of my stuff over on the Coalition website. I have a show called TK Spotlight where I interview phenomenal individuals throughout the gaming industry, and I have some pretty cool special guests that I think you guys are really going to like. So definitely check it out when you can. Thanks again, everybody. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.